And welcome to this special edition of Keeping It True Bayou LSU Tigers, as well as True Bayou Sports Media Primetime. This is a cross-post episode as we're going to be providing you coverage for both of these shows. So this will be going out to both feeds, so you'll be hearing the same episode on both feeds. That's correct, it's a cross-post. Just getting everybody used to the concept as we get going here live from Las Vegas, Nevada. And we're enjoying, of course, all the preparation going on for the Las Vegas Kickoff Classic between LSU and USC. It'll be going down Sunday, of course. This is the preview show coming out on Sunday. So if you're about to head over to the stadium, or if you are going to kick back on the couch and enjoy this one on your Labor Day weekend, we of course are excited that you've chosen us to get you some of the information getting ready for the game. My name is Donald. I'll be your host, of course, today and for every episode here on True Bayou Sports Media. Now, with this LSU game, this game against USC, a game that has been built up as a possibility for many years, and you go out and you take a look at what had to happen to put the storylines together for this one. You have Caleb Williams win the Heisman Trophy 2 years ago, then you follow that up with Jane Daniels a year to follow. Now you're looking at two programs that are looking to take the next step to become national contenders, following a couple of seasons that were good but not great. And you wonder what can happen now with these two individual storied programs, who of course are looking to add another great win on their resume. I'll tell you, from being in town over the past few days, I felt the LSU presence from the moment I landed on the plane. I think I have actually, before I got on the plane for that matter, there's been purple and gold everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're on the strip, off the strip, in town, around town. Every single place I've been, I've gotten to go Tigers, and that's always a great thing to see. It's going to be very critical that the LSU faithful who did make the trip are very loud and boisterous. Obviously, it is not a very far trip for the USC contingency, but I do have great confidence that we will be in a majority of the attendance for this particular matchup. And what I think that could play a factor in is you take a look at what the storylines are here. You take a look at the fact that LSU is starting Garrett Nussmeier for the first time in a full capacity. Of course, you've seen lots of playing time throughout his career, be it, in his basically sub-start for the, unfortunate injured Max Johnson, who we now see what happened with him with North Carolina this weekend. Hopefully he's getting better and starting the road to recovery there. That was a very gruesome injury. We hope him we wish him the best, don't want to see that for anybody. But you take a look at that's where Garrett Nussmeier's playing time started, so it's all relevant to the story here. Then you go ahead a couple ways down the road, and you get to him subbing in for another injured quarterback. This time it was Jane Daniels in the SEC championship game, where he put on quite the performance and caught the eyes of Tiger Nation again, where then the "We Want Nuss" chant became the early mantra of the 2023-2024 season, but that was quickly silenced whenever your future to-be Heisman Trophy winner got everyone real accustomed to who it's going to be and what's going to be done, no matter what team or fan base you were. Of course, Jane Daniels did go on to win that Heisman handedly, and one of the greatest margins that there's been in recent times. So, I don't think there was much contention there. I think that was a pretty straightforward choice. And it's led us to where we are today, where you're bringing in a quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier, a junior who's had plenty of time to be around the program. He's seen, the O era, he's seen the Brian Kelly era, and he's now ready to lead this team. And we're looking at the depth chart right now because it's going to play a crucial factor when it comes to what goes down on Sunday. Let's first talk about what some of the potential injuries could be. And one of those, of course, is in your wide receiver core. You're going to see a lot of Kyron Lacey. He's good to go. You're going to see a lot of CJ Daniels. He's also good to go. What you may not see as much of is Chris Hilton Jr. We're going to have to see how much playing time he gets. He's been listed as questionable at several points throughout the week. Of course, behind him, you'll have folks like Parker Kyle, Xavier Thomas, and Aaron Anderson. I think all of those guys are ready to go, but more than anything, you look at a Brian Kelly system and you know that it's going to be Mason Taylor and potentially another freshman here, Trades Green, who is going to put on quite the performance for this particular game here. I think that the tight end core is going to be probably your number 3, number 2 read, depending on the play. So it's something that you're not going to have to really worry as much about when it comes to who's going to be receiving these Garrett Nussmeier passes, but you will have to be keeping an eye out because, if you only get limited snaps from certain wide receivers or you're having to adjust game plans like that, I think that is where the biggest challenge will come for this team, is understanding who needs to get the ball quickly. Because as much as we'd like to believe that the defense has made the great strides that are being reported in the media, being reported from the coaches, we will have to wait and see. The performances last year, frankly, were unstandard of LSU, and they put a dark shadow on the defensive legacy. Now, you gutted house, you brought in a Blake Baker to fix the system, as well as returning Corey Raymond to reignite another cycle of DBU here at LSU. I think those two pieces together have a great opportunity, and they're going to get to show what they put in this offseason. First things when it comes to a new USC quarterback as well, which will, I think honestly, that's going to be the play to watch, is you're watching how the LSU defense has improved. You have transfers in the safety core who are poised to make great strides. On the defensive tackle side of the ball, particularly the defensive line in general, you're going to see freshmen making significant playing time here because just the way how it's been shaking out. We were concerned, looking at the early parts of this offseason, that defensive line was going to be one of the places to watch, but so far it appears that with reports that have come out, as well as what's been said by Coach Kelly and the other coaches that are getting to the podium here, the defensive line is apparently one of the better units of the defense. So I think that's going to get tested early and often in this game to really prove what's going on. And you take a look at Lincoln Riley, coach of USC, of course, he is no stranger to putting up points with reckless abandon. So I think that you take a look at what the defensive core could end up being. You, of course, have Savion Jones. You have Gaio Perez. I'm still working on that one, but I think I'm getting pretty close with it. And then you have Harold Perkins Jr., the newly appointed number 7. And that's where we'll sort of take this second transition here, sort of give you a little bit of what we'll expect from some of the major players outside of the offense as we're getting you ready for the the Vegas Kickoff Classic featuring LSU and USC. This coverage is, of course, live from Las Vegas. So we take a look at the depth chart here. We take a look at the newly appointed 7, Harold Perkins Jr. This is where it's pretty important because you take a look at the overall linebacking core, and that's a conversation that I think gets left out a lot. It was one of the stronger units of that weak defense last year. And you brought in other pieces that are going to improve and help it. Plus the fact that you have players that are now becoming further along in your system and further developed. You can take a look at the Weeks brothers between Wes, who's a senior now, and then you have Witt, who's a sophomore, and putting up absolute numbers. That's Wes at 40, Wes at 33 and Witt at 40. Those two guys are going to be someone to watch out for. You have the newly appointed number 18, let's not forget, in Greg Penn III, another player that's going to be absolutely all over the field as well as doing some of your play calling. And that's a duty that you're going to see very much appreciated, I think, is the fact that if it's Harold Perkins, if it's Greg Penn, or if it's one of the Weeks brothers playing behind them, those are all guys that are going to be able to help lead this defense throughout the season. Those are all 4 guys who should be, putting the, weight on their back and say, hey, I got this. I've been around here. I want to get this program back to where it recruited me to it, what it was when I first started. And that's a major part of it. Once these players are in the school, I think this is something that you have to take a look at. A lot is said about NIL. A lot is said about the value of transfers. We saw that today, of course, with the Florida and Miami game. You have the highest paid NIL player making almost $2 million, and he absolutely torched the Florida defense. And now Billy Napier's seat is hotter than it's ever been. That's the impact that these players make. But much less besides the money. I don't think the money is even the biggest story here. What it is that once the player is on campus, they have a obligation to themselves and to their team to be able to put on the best performance every week, because that's what assures that they will continue to maintain their value, not only at the collegiate level, but beyond. So you have that, as well as the fact that, frankly, you had to have numbers nowadays. If there's somewhere of a negotiation between two players, you got to make sure your numbers are going to back it up, because it's no longer promises and handshakes. It's now results that need to be seen. So I think that's going to be something that's going to add a layer to the game in this new season of college football. We saw some very interesting football today with the fact that these former, group of 5 teams that may have been a little bit squishier in the past are now getting very strong and very built up due to what they're able to do in the transfer portal. And it's very interesting to watch in real time, much less the fact that, it's all changing for the first time this year. We'll have to see what it even looks like in 3 years once you go to 14 teams plus and the new playoff contract is formed. Not to get ahead of ourselves, as we have a game to see this particular Sunday. Today, if you're watching, thank you. Let's take a little bit of another look here into the backfield. You have Major Burns and Sage Ryan. Now, these two guys are people who have been around this program for a while now, giving you varying results at different times. Personally, I'm excited to see Major Burns in sort of a leadership super senior role. I think this is 2 elements of his game that could end up being pivotal. Sage Ryan as well, somebody who's been very consistent but maybe hasn't made the star plays to get him the notoriety that his recruitment maybe brought along. I think this year you're going to see him take some steps to maybe raise that level of notoriety, to raise his level of fame, if you will, in order to pursue being a higher draft pick as a junior. The time is now, and I'm sure he's more than recognized that that is an opportunity that lies in front of him. You also take a look back a little bit further with Allen Jordan and the safety position, and Jaden Gilbert in the safety, and then the free safety, strong and free safety there. Those 2 guys, like I said, with transfer players coming into the team, they're going to make instant impact. I would very much be looking for them in that backfield when it comes to Sunday's game. Those are 2 guys that you're going to get to learn about them very quickly. That's 6 and 2 for those of you looking for numbers on the screen back there in the backfield. Those guys, they've been getting praises by the coaching staff here quite a lot. And it seems like a lot of us are in agreement, particularly when you look at Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly sort of tells you what he's going to do in ways that if you can understand his syntax, if you can understand his purpose and what the way that he speaks to media, you can learn a lot about what Brian Kelly is intending to do. He's used some of that language regarding these 2 guys, and I think they're going to make a major impact. But I would be hesitant because at the same time, Brian Kelly is someone who's known to work based off of performance and to work based off of performance in camp. So sometimes we may see a little bit of time pass before some of these guys get to take full strides, because it's all got to match up from camp, from practice, through to the game. And once that happens, generally saying that is the path that LSU loves to talk about. That's how you get these players to be not only college ready, NFL ready, and beyond. Major stepping stone there. But a quick last segment here. We're going to talk just a little bit of strategy here. I want to talk a little bit more about the offensive side of the ball. We didn't bring up running backs. Now, there's been a lot of discussion of late about what the running back room is going to look like. You take a look at a guy like Josh Williams, who gets the number 18, coming as a former walk-on, all the way now to a senior who's going to lead the team as a running back. But I don't know if he's going to lead statistically as a running back, because as you may know, you have sophomore Caleb Jackson back there, who did some absolutely highlight reel quality stuff in his freshman campaign, and now to come back as a sophomore gives him even more fuel to his fire to continue to build his legacy. So I don't think he's going to be relinquishing snaps without a good reason. So you're going to see a lot of hard running from that guy. Then somebody who we thought was gone but ended up coming back, and I don't think Tiger fans are going to be upset about that, is John Emery Jr., of course, being a member of the 2019 national championship team, to see that he's now around still as a redshirt senior. It'll be interesting to see what that maturity level coming off the injury ends up looking like for him, but I'm very confident in what his ability is and how he understands the systems that he's being put into. Is a major guy to watch out for. And on the O-line, look, we know that this O-line is probably one of the top 5 in the nation and pressing forward to become better than that every day. I'm excited just to watch it a little bit. Will Campbell, of course, man, that man's looking like he's going to end up being a top 10 pick with the way how he's talking, the way how he's leading his team. But you can't forget about Emory Jones Jr., just another absolute plowing ram there on the front line. He does whatever he needs to do for you. And we did learn that also all the injuries that were reported for the front line have been cleared, and it looks like all those guys are going to be available, so your main 5 will be ready to go, as well, of course, some of the guys that are waiting in the wings. You know, it only takes one moment to be able to get that first foot in the door, and then from where you take your opportunity from there is fully up to these guys in this case. I think you can see a lot of someone like a Christian Stamps, maybe Bo Bourdlawn begins to start to rotate in a little bit, particularly if maybe there's like a slight mid-game injury that you often see at a lineman. Will he have an enhanced position? Will he have a chance to compete for any sort of starting minutes? Personally, at this point, I don't think it's going to be a competition thing, but I know as soon as the opportunity presents itself and a lot of these guys go to the draft or go ahead and graduate, you're going to see some major plays from this backup offensive line unit. Everyone who is listed in the unofficial depth charts, you know, being a redshirt freshman or redshirt senior or younger. So, redshirt sophomore. Just a lot of talent there. A lot of talent that's going to be available in the general just marketplace here. It's going to be a good season. I'm looking forward to it. But this is where we take a look at the final element of the preview episode. What are my thoughts? What am I expecting? I mentioned a little bit, you know, I know from what I've been able to see and what I'm hearing is that this is going to be an LSU majority crowd tomorrow in Allegiant Stadium. And it's also going to be a crowd that's energized. You have a lot of people on vacation. You have a lot of people that might be getting to their first LSU road game ever, and that gets some extra motivation for people. I'm excited to see what type of environment this is, and can LSU prevent an early punch to the mouth effectively? That's one of the major things that have been a major setback of late, is having to go up against just dominant offenses with not mid-season formed defenses. If Blake Baker was able to implement all of his systems in time, man, I'm excited to see what type of rotation they can put those guys in the backfield and in the defensive side of the ball. So with that, I'm going to just note on one small thing here, not a full segment, but there is a punting battle that will continue, it looks like, beyond game 1, and that is, of course, will it be redshirt junior Peyton Todd or transfer Blake Ossendorf? I think I have it right. We'll find out. But those two, Brian Kelly has said that there's still a competition ongoing. We'll see who's doing the majority of the punting, if not all the punting, when it comes down to game time and what goes on during that game. I will be back with a recap for you all. That one will just be on Keeping It True Bayou LSU Tigers. That's going to be where you're going to get all your information regarding what happened at the game, how it went down, and of course, whenever you come here and you're watching Keeping It True Bayou LSU Tigers, you know that we're the place as well to get some of that good information about what all went down. And of course, as always on every episode, please voice your opinions in the comments. We want to know what you thought, what you want to see, and what we can do better. But that's all a part of it. Of course, a big go Tigers, a big let's go ahead and take it Louisiana. And this is going to be our final preview episode from Las Vegas. I'll be back again with a recap, be it late Sunday or early Monday. But I look forward to seeing you all. And once again, thank you for watching this episode. And we'll look forward to showing off in prime time and keeping it true by you. Thanks again, everybody.
This has been a True Bayou Media production. This show is for entertainment purposes only and does not render legal or financial advice. Remember to bet responsibly. Distribution of this podcast is prohibited without the express written consent of True Bayou Media or its subsidiaries. Thanks for being true by us. We can't wait Until next time, we keep it true by you.